Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Ryan Day, the Ohio State Buckeyes, land another commitment in this 2025 class, coming from four-star defensive back DeShawn Stewart. And when I saw this news, you kind of got to assume that this coaching staff really does like DeShawn Stewart a lot, because you look at already the talent in that defensive back room that they have committed in 2025, and then the talent that they are trending for on the recruiting trail. To offer DeShawn Stewart and to go after him like Ohio State did, that kind of tells you a little bit about how this coaching staff views DeShawn Stewart. And I think the most interesting conversation with DeShawn Stewart is, all right, does he come in and play cornerback or that safety role? You dive into the film, plays a lot of boundary cornerback at the high school level. I think a lot of people see him as a safety in the college football landscape. I personally like him at safety. I think the combination of the loaded cornerbacks you already have coming in this 2025 cycle. But when you watch DeShawn Stewart, his best reps are when he is keeping his eyes on the quarterback and playing the football in the air. And I think this guy has a ton of range to play that deep safety role, but also gives you that versatility to come up and play man coverage as a safety as well. And with Coach Knowles in all the different personnel packages and coverage packages that Ohio State likes to throw at offenses, having a guy like DeShawn Stewart who can be that safety, that can play that single high role, but also come into the box and play man coverage, gives you a lot of versatility for this Ohio State defense. I really like this take for Ohio State. Want to dive into the film, talk a little bit about what he brings to this Ohio State defense. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. A massive shout out to the Ohio State fans. It has been a blast covering all of these commitments for Ohio State. Many of you guys know I do enjoy talking the recruiting trail. Cannot thank you guys enough for rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And again, when you start talking about DeShawn Stewart, I think the first thing you talk about is the versatility. This is a guy that his ball skills, you combine that with the frame. That's probably what I like about his game the most. You see a lot at the college football level, really athletic defensive backs that really kind of go into panic mode when that football is in the air. They might have the track times and the quick twitch and the frame to deal with wide receivers on the outside. But when that football is in the air, that's when it sometimes breaks down for these kids. DeShawn Stewart shows exceptional ability to play the football in the air. Probably my favorite aspect of DeShawn Stewart. Also a very physical tackler when it comes to making plays in space. That's probably why I like him at that safety position the most, because you do have some question marks about that long speed. But any way you cut it, you're getting a potential cornerback or safety that has some good range, but also can hold up in man coverage. You take a look at the film, DeShawn Stewart, he's a competitor. I think that's the first thing that you really like. Playing on the top of your screen right here, the ball skills, right? Keeping his eyes on the quarterback. That ball goes in the air. We're going to high point it, make a play on it. Never seems to panic when that football is in the air. This is probably one of my favorite reps that he has on the film, working on the left side of your screen right here. DeShawn Stewart maybe gets beat a little bit. Good ball, good, obviously a very good-looking wide receiver here. He continues to battle through the play, ends up breaking up the pass. This is a guy that has that competitive nature in him, I should say, that you really like in your defensive backs. And again, when that football is in the air, just has a knack for getting his hands on it, can certainly hold up in man coverage too. Physical, gets his hands on wide receivers, breaks up plays. But this is probably where I like him the most, where he's just keeping his eyes on the quarterback and then getting his lengthy frame into passing windows. I personally like him at safety a little bit more than cornerback, but this is a guy that can certainly hold up in man coverage and be a very good cornerback at the college level too. Again, ball skills, maybe gets beat off the line of scrimmage a little bit here, comes back, makes a play on the football. Very, very good when that football is in the air. This is probably the one rep that you might have some question marks about him at that cornerback spot, where the long speed, maybe not quite there. You see the wide receiver kind of eat him up on the boundary, but continues to play through the play, breaks up the pass. A lot of things to like about DeShawn Stewart playing downhill. This is where I like him, right? Keeping my eyes on the quarterback, firing downhill, being physical at the point of attack. Like him at safety, like his ability to get downhill, be physical as a tackler. A lot to like about DeShawn Stewart. I especially like the versatility that he brings. Another example, the physicality that he brings to this Ohio State defense. And you take a look at what Ohio State has in this 2025 class. It is such a loaded defensive back haul so far. Obviously headlined by Devin Sanchez, Naheem Offord. You scroll down a little bit, Blake Would be a guy that I think is going to be a phenomenal nickel corner at the next level. Cornerback class is loaded. And so you bring in DeShawn Stewart. Yeah, maybe he competes for a cornerback spot, but it's certainly a guy that you could put at that safety position as well. But what excites me so much for Ohio State, and kind of what excites me most about this commitment for Ohio State, is I think it's pretty clear that this coaching staff really does like DeShawn Stewart, because you start looking at some of the guys that they are in for in this 2025 class. You first talk about Fahim Delaney, guy coming from the state of Maryland, who probably is the best pure safety in this 2025 class. I think Ohio State probably the leader in the clubhouse for that. When you take a look at a guy in Dorian Brew as well, one of the top cornerbacks in this class. Also, I think Ohio State leading in the clubhouse. And then the in-state kid from the state of Ohio and Trey McNutt, again, one of the top safeties in this 2025 class. I think what I'm trying to get at here is DeShawn Stewart, maybe ranked a little bit lower according to some of the recruiting services, but the fact that Ohio State is taking him at this point in the 2025 cycle with all the talent that they already have committed and all the talent that they are trending for, this was a top target for Ohio State on the recruiting trail. Really like this kid, really like the versatility that he brings to the Ohio State defense. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. Hope you guys all have a phenomenal Easter Sunday, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.